Greetings guys, hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm ImperialJedi, and it's our first look at a pretty new game, I want to say, relatively new. It's called Astroneer. It just came out mid to late December, and it's still pre-alpha, so it's pretty much going to be changing a whole lot as the game develops, but I've just been eagerly wanting to do a little mini-series on this. I've been playing just for the last few days, so, you know, granted, I don't know 100% of everything, but I'll at least kind of get us started. I'll show you a whole bunch of fun stuff you can do with this game. But I'll probably revisit this as the game continues to grow and some new patches and whatnot come out. Okay, so we're on the main menu and we're just kind of picking our astronauts. I think we're going to go for our orange suited guy. We're just going to blast off and head down to the planet and see what we find. But yeah, this game, it was gifted to me, so it was a nice little surprise to find in my inbox. And yeah, like I said, I've been playing around for the last few days, but it's more or less just you trying to keep your guy alive and have some fun along the way. All right, cool. So this is home base right here, and our first objective is to basically grow this out a little bit and just start grabbing some resources. And we'll just kind of go from there. So you can kind of see we got a little tether line that just kind of shows up. So when we run away from our home base, we're going to be losing our ability to kind of replenish our oxygen. So just, you know, be aware of that. So what we're going to do is extend our main base, and you can do that by finding some resin and using that to make some components here, or some new base modules. So we'll extend that, just drop that in. And if you're after some symmetry, not too hard to achieve. You just gotta line these up just the right way. And you'll notice there's the option to put the 2 resin in right now. If I do that, it'll upgrade this into like a bigger console. And then from there, you can do some like crafting and some other cool stuff. So right now, I don't really have any like production in terms of like recharging my battery. Like, so no energy production. So we have to wait for this to kind of slowly recharge on its own, which is not very fast right now. So let's extend this a little bit further, and then let's now get some components, and we'll build ourselves a little solar panel and whatnot for our backpacks, so we can start getting some power faster. But eventually we'll be, you know, building like a big battery network and everything, and getting like solar panels and wind turbines and just bigger versions of them, so lots to do. Okay, that's not bad for the moment. And I do want a semblance of order to the base. So, I mean, I find a lot of people, their biggest mistake when they start playing this game is they make things a little bit too compact. So ideally what I want is to maybe stretch a little bit further in this big open spot down here. Maybe that's where the vehicle bay can eventually go. And then over here where there's a little bit of hill and terrain, this is maybe where some of our crafting and stuff can be. And somewhere in the middle we can do some resource storage. So let's just break off in another direction here. And then eventually we're going to build like vehicles, rovers. We can go to like other planets. So, I mean, lots to do. Okay, let's leave that there. So I'm going to grab some component now. Or some compound, I should say. Awesome. Okay, so this is super cool. From your backpack, you can do some crafting. So what we want is a solar panel. Awesome. Let's get a little bit closer to the base here so we don't suffocate. And then we also want some tethers. And these things here are kind of like an extension of your base to a certain extent. Oh, and because there's no sun, these won't work right now, just for, you know, random obvious reasons. Not random, but you know what I mean, for obvious reasons, of course. Okay, so what I like to do with my tether system is just kind of on the horizon, I'll look and see if anything maybe catches my fancy. And I'll just maybe explore outward. And these tall trees here, if you'll notice, they've got these big spiky kind of like node things or whatever. These you can pull down and you can break them open and research them, and you'll get some unlocks and stuff. That big tall set of pillars over there, that is resin, and it's going to be a replenishable source. So I think that'll be a good spot for us to pick for kind of like our tether network. And we'll have a few of them. We just don't want too many of those because it ends up being pretty complicated. you'll kind of see what I mean by that. So you press T for tether, which brings out one of the pylons right here. If you put one down that you don't want, you can hold shift. And that'll go back into your backpack. And this just makes it so that when we're just going a bit further out, we don't have to worry as much about oxygen and that kind of stuff. And at the same time, while we're out here, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for some cave entrances. Because that's where you're going to find some more complex like minerals and materials, which we'll need for like vehicles and stuff. But right now, we're just kind of getting the framework together. Since we're over here, we might as well just deplete this. And what's really cool is because we're connected to the tether line, we're getting oxygen, and if we had any power production happening at the base, we would also be getting a refill to our backpack. Now this cool stuff here on the ground, this like green, oh my goodness gracious me, this gold stuff right here, that's power, so we'll just go ahead and pick that up. That'll help replenish our batteries as we go. And then that stuff over there is oxygen. I swear I'm not colorblind, I promise. Goodness gracious me. Okay, so let's refill this till it's empty. And then we'll bring the resin back, and so that's now done. And we'll expand on our home base. Anything cool over here? I don't think so. You don't necessarily want to travel too far away, because there's always the risk of like a sandstorm coming in, so you know, if you can, maybe put a beacon in front of a cave, so if you're maybe far away from a base, you can always run in there for protection. Otherwise, you'll have to run back to your home and kind of hang out there until the storm passes. Might as well grab some resin. And these big holes in the ground that we're creating, we can fill them in with dirt again afterwards, but it's obviously like a drain on our power supply, so we're not doing it just yet. But if we press and hold control, left control, it'll fill this in when you're using your terrain tool. And just Alt makes you go upward, and of course without pressing anything, you go just, you know, any direction. And then we're going to flatten these out so that it's easier to drive vehicles over, but we're going to worry about that later. We want to get the resources out first. And so if we want to, we can just temporarily drop these down here. If I put 2 in, it'll upgrade the module, so we're going to be cautious about that. I think maybe that's just the ones that have the 2 showing, but either way, I don't want to upgrade any prematurely here. And we'll be upgrading, like, I'll show you some really cool strategies and stuff to get like more resources and whatnot in, but for the moment, slow and steady. All right, well, let's grab just a little bit more compound, make some more tethers and some beacons and stuff, and then we'll start exploring and see if we can make some more more additions to the base. Because off the get-go, you've got a research station unlocked, and then from there, that's when we'll start unlocking more and more stuff. And then, of course, when we find a cave, we'll go in, start finding some complex materials, start building the cool stuff we're unlocking, go from there, explore other parts of the planet, explore other planets, make rovers, lots to do. So now we've got a solar panel, so our battery in our backpack's going to recharge a little bit faster. And because we have the tether network going, what we can also do, which is cool, is just create some solar panels for home base. I mean, compound is not too hard to find. And just to jump ahead a little bit, when we unlock it, I'm going to eventually set up a fuel condenser with a trade depot. And that works really well because you can just basically make fuel out of electricity. So you have to have a really good battery network for that. But then you can fill your trading ship with fuel and then just get really any resource that you want that's kind of maybe hard to find or whatever. Let's make some more tethers. So as long as now we're connected to the tethers and it's daytime outside, all these solar panels will help recharge our battery, which is like super convenient. So yeah, see, I mean, there's no real rush, but it's like a slow grind. But once you start getting it, it just suddenly, you start suddenly moving uphill, which is good. If that made any sense right there. And yeah, once you get maybe like a couple fuel condensers working and you have like tons and tons of batteries, because, you know, during the day, obviously you want to be generating power and putting it somewhere. But right now we have no batteries, so it's kind of inefficient, right? Anyway, yeah, so once you're really doing well with resources, it's kind of, you'll reminisce about these days being like, oh my goodness, remember how silly it was when we had to go out and just get all these materials and we were running out of oxygen and all that stuff. Hopefully laugh about that. Okay, so yeah, we want to keep like a little bit of order and semblance to the base. So like I was saying before, we want to keep the flat part maybe for our vehicle bay. And then up here can be some resource extraction style things. We need like a smelter and like that kind of stuff, right? Let's extend on this. And then this one can become one of the advanced modules. Oh, I need a little bit more resin, of course. And then you can see right here, in the back of our little terrain tool right here, there's a lot of resin. If I start mowing this stuff down, it switches over to the compound. And you can see there already was some there. So it just stores whatever, you know, like if you don't complete the block or whatever. So that little bit of resin just kind of hangs out. Let's grab some more of this. I mean, compound is so useful. And this game, I mean, it's so much fun. It just makes me want to go out to like an army surplus store and buy like an old helmet. Or like a like an astronaut helmet or something somehow. And just sit around and just pretend. I have honestly a lot of fun playing this game. I haven't even unlocked everything or seen what this whole shebang can offer. So we want a research station. So we need 2 compound for that. I believe we have it. If I press and hold the left shift, it'll fill the resources, both of them at the same time. So we'll fill that in. And this is where we bring those big node things or whatever. I don't know where I dropped that other one before. But let's maybe... Oh, there it is. Let's maybe start with that one. And our research station needs a fair amount of power to run, so it looks like the sun is going down, so we might not be able to get too many of these done. I mean, luckily you can see there's like tons of these tree things behind us, so we don't have to run too far, so you never know. But this is, of course, why you would just want to have like batteries and whatnot. And if you get a wind turbine set up, you don't have to worry about the sun. Hey, alright, fuel condenser, that's pretty fast. Grab that. Oh, great. And then when we get a vehicle, what we'll do is get a little wagon attached to it, and then we can drive out to another field where all these trees are. Filters, that's good for oxygen. And we can just fill up our rover and then come on back and rinse and repeat. So we're out of power at the base, but what we can do though is there's some ground-based power over here. Is we can mine this and then put those onto the base, and it should fill the power. There we go. And when we get some aluminum, that's when we can do some wind turbines. There we go. I mean, in the grand scheme, power, it's pretty abundant, so I don't mind spending some of this right here. And just like that refuelable, or like, not refuelable, but that big mound of resin that kind of fills itself up over time, there's the same kind of thing for power and oxygen too. We'll kind of see a few of those here and there. So we're close enough to one. It's not impossible for us to kind of farm some. Oh, did we run out of... Oh, never mind. Pull that out. So coal we can use with a generator. And look at that. We're just the littlest amount shy. You can see like one sliver there. So if we had a generator, then we could burn that coal, but we do not. So back to resource gathering. And when we unlock them, we'll be able to make storage pads, and we can just start like really bulk gathering resources and just make things a lot easier. Okay, so let's maybe continue a little bit more with our base expansion. Just while we're waiting for the sun and everything to come out. And I just try whenever possible to do just maybe little bits of symmetry here and there. But to each their own. And it was just like down in this direction in general. This is where my like resources and whatnot are going to be kind of more or less happening. So let's maybe do the printer over here. So we need copper for that, but we'll just leave that as kind of a reminder. Then you can have like storage on that one or something. Okay, well let's go exploring. See what we can get here. Maybe extend our tethers a little bit. And I do want to find a cave too. I'm actually surprised we haven't found one yet. Usually there's one or two that are pretty close to where your starting base is. Of course, whenever in doubt, we can always go towards these mountains. And what's really neat about your tethers is these can be placed on the roof and stuff too. So it's like with caves, you can do like all kinds of cool things. So I'm just going to generically head over here just in case we come across a... oh, there's one probably, yes. And just because of how cheap and easy it is to use the tethers, I tend not to... Was I tricked? Is this not a way into a cave? Oh, it is. Good, good, good. Yeah, see? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so I tend not to pick these up. It's just, you get so many out of just one piece of compound, so just leave them around. It's always nice to have a recharge point. Because, I mean, everything just feels totally fine and everything, like rainbows and puppy dogs, until all of a sudden you're running out of oxygen, and then that claustrophobia feeling kind of sets in, and I don't like that at all. So you can see right here, just go up the sides of the wall, which is pretty cool. In the caves, they were pretty intimidating in the beginning. I was actually terrified to go into them because I kind of assumed everything wanted to get me. But there's not too much in here that can actually kill you. But you do have to be cautious. It's not, again, just like a walk in the park, but there's some like weird plant things that kind of spew like a toxic gas you got to be careful of, so you can just kind of bury them in the ground. And there's some plant life in there that has big spikies that'll stab you and whatnot, so be cautious. So you can see no sun out, we're not getting a recharge. Not the end of the world, but you can see right there, there's some power. Not too far off. And then what we want to do is just drop down a beacon so that we know that this is a cave, or just like a point of interest. Or we can just follow our tether network. But when we have a few tethers, we just want to make sure we know where we're headed. And this will increase in height as you run away from it. For the life of me, in the beginning, I was like, how do I get this to become a beacon? But I started running away just in frustration, and I was like, aha, of course, Eureka. Oh yeah, power as we go on. So I'll probably end up using up most of this, but it might help if I actually click on it. But just to tie us over a little bit until... Now, we wanted to keep our backpack space open because the sun's about to come out, so we probably won't actually end up using this because we'll get a recharge from the base. Why don't we drop this down in some of our modules at home, and then that way when we're connected to our lines, we'll just get power that way. And then we can do like a full-on actual cave exploration. I'll grab just a little bit more compound so we can build just a bit more tethers because the caves are surprisingly big. And some of them are like multi-level. Like think like London subway type thing, like 5, you can get like 5 layers down type thing. All right, I wouldn't say the world of room over here, but still just enough. Cool. And then, since it's daylight, why don't we just do a little bit more research since we're here? Just unlock some stuff that's kind of helpful to us. And then there's a chance, of course, of resources or unlocking technology. And the coal, I mean, it's useful. I don't really use it all that much, though. When you craft a small generator versus a large one, and like when I say a small one, I'll kind of say that a little bit often in the series. I mean anything that you can build from your backpack, that'll be a small scale. So like a small generator. Ooh, windstorm, speaking of which. Small generators you can power with like the organic, which is like so easy to find on most planets. Whereas the coal, it's kind of tricky to find, even though we just found 2 in a row. We just gotta, most of the time, unlock them from here, so not as easy. We can craft it eventually, but I don't know necessarily the recipe. I'm still, like I said, I'm still kind of learning the game here. And then you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, windstorms aren't so bad. And I'll agree with you, they aren't the worst. But you can see your character moves pretty slowly. That's kind of a setback. And then here comes the bad stuff, these big rocks. Those will ruin your day. And if your character does die, you're going to respawn back at your base, and anything you had on your backpack will stay with your character, but you got to go find it again. So if you die close to home, that's not so bad, but dying out there in the wilderness and you have no idea where to go, that's tricky. Which is also kind of why I like setting up a nice tether network, because you can just kind of find, or if you stick close to your tethers at least, you can kind of find yourself a little bit easier that way. And the windstorms totally randomly generated. You can sometimes go like an hour without having any, or you can go like one every 15 minutes or less. And you'll know it's safe to go out once the rocks kind of settle down a little bit. And this one seems to be a bit of a longer one. There we go. So if ever you're in a pinch, you can always dig a hole too. But like caves, like that kind of stuff is fine. Okay, back in action. So yeah, personal generator versus big generator. Some of them more efficient. There's a few other things like that, which of course I'll just kind of drop and let you guys know. And we got something cool here. It's copper. Helps. We just need one more for our printer. Then we can start making some cool things over there. So I'm a sucker for these researchers, or research things. Let's grab one more since we're like so close and we got the power. Now we'll run into a cave just so you guys can kind of see. And probably won't do too much more, but I'll just do a few more episodes of these. Like we'll kind of see how far we go with the series, but maybe we won't unlock everything, but we'll just get a, you know, pretty decent amount of things done. And just leave that there. Oh, you know what? Why not? Okay. Let that be a surprise when we come back. Okay, so I want just a little bit more compound because I want one more set of tethers. Now we got some power at home base, even if the sun goes down. And what I'm looking for specifically is the ingredients to make aluminum and copper. We're gonna have to get a smelter and stuff soon too, but I just want to start collecting those materials. And then in between episodes, what I might do just to kind of speed things up is I may just kind of collect just like bulk amounts of resources, especially in the beginning. Like once we get our trading platform, it is like a-okay to, like, we'll just get so much stuff. We don't have to go out anymore. Is that 2 just in case? And just early on. So hydrogene's super helpful. We just don't really need it just yet, so we'll just kind of leave it there, but awesome to know that we've got some. And you may have to do some terraforming in your caves just so that you can move around. You can see this is a pretty big drop right now, and I don't necessarily want to die, so let's try our hand at some terraforming. So I'm holding left control to build a little land bridge that maybe goes downward. And this, it's trial and error, but you can see why I put these on the sides of the wall now. Get in there. And, you know, height, it is a real thing here. So if you fall too far, you'll end up killing your character, which is bad, obviously. I'm trying to fill these holes in. And this, of course, takes up lots of power, so we don't want to go crazy. Because, you know, maybe the sun's already set. I don't think it has yet, but... So we've more or less made it down. It's just not necessarily a pretty clean run, so let's fix this a bit, but... I think the basics is what we're after is here. Camera. Cool. And like these kind of things, I might end up fixing them off camera. You never know. Depends on how crazy I end up going. But I just kind of like what I was saying before. It's like that weird feeling of claustrophobia. Sometimes I just have this urge to get out of the cave. And when you're running back and everything is like just tricky and difficult to like run up to, and it's not a fun feeling. So sometimes, I don't know, maybe you guys can relate to that. I don't know. This game brings out things you didn't even realize about yourself. I think I've just made things a lot worse. There we go, perfect. Okay, I'll leave that. And this is basically what I'm going for, just some of this stuff here. This is copper. And there's actually a lot of power nearby too, which is really convenient. So you can see how far down these go. So if I want to, I can get a bit of that, hopefully. And so far, so good. Nothing here wants to kill us. Okay, let's grab some of that. Awesome. So I want to get ideally 2 or 3 of these, and then 2 or 3 of the aluminum as well. And as far as the tethers are concerned, they're just taking up space in our backpack, and we made them with the intention to use them to explore the cave, so why don't we just put them down? And when I first started playing this game, I was like convinced that there would be like monsters and a whole bunch of other stuff down here, but really it's more like the psychological experience that sometimes scares you the most about the caves. Because without tethers, or even if you do have tethers, and your network is like super complicated, you can get lost down here, and that's not fun at all. Especially if you're exploring with limited power and everything. Or say I ran out of tethers, and I was like, oh, I'll just run a little bit further, and then you get back to here, and you're like, where was I? And you don't quite see where your tether was, and it's just, ooh, I feel claustrophobia. Or you have to like jump up to find your tether, and you're like suffocating, and you're down here, and you're just like, ah. I don't like that feeling. Okay, so I'm just, again, placing these just so I have a bit more room in my backpack, and this is just for later exploring. Or who knows, we'll maybe never come back to them, but for the amount that it costs for us to make a tether, it's like, it's totally fine. Okay. This one just happens to end. Oh, look, a person who had died. So I mean, you can play multiplayer. I happen to be playing by myself. So this is like, oh, dynamite, cool. Oh, my backpack is full, darn it. Let's get rid of this. Dynamite is like, oh, a battery. I guess we don't need that anymore. Now, lithium is cool. Lithium you use to make batteries. Dynamite you obviously use to blow a hole in the ground. But what I was about to say though is, oops, this is what it would look like if you came across your own dead body. I'm gonna carry this back with us. Please leave it here so it's in the light. Otherwise, you can, yeah, like I was saying, you can play with your friends. You have to be online, connected to the Steam. They're gonna connect to you, and I don't think they can play without you being online in the server first. And then as far as the save goes, it'll be saved on whoever's computer started it. And say you're all playing together, and this the host, if that computer crashes, you're all going to crash type thing. But I've only played multiplayer just a little bit, so very, very limited experience with that. But it is cool. I mean, you can invite your friends, which is like kind of fun. And I don't know what the cap is on how many people you can have, but these things here have spikies, so you want to stay kind of clear of those. But I've played, yeah, 2-3 people in a server already, no problem. Oh, and so we have all this cool stuff, so our backpack's going to be, of course, full. But that's cool, that's no problem. So let's head back. Let me just fix this a little bit easier here, since we have the power now. Oh, much, much, much better. Give us a bit of a kind of a guide rail here, even better. And then you obviously walk slow, but you can bring something up with you by hand. So that's a nice little bonus right there. So a lot of fun goodies here. So let's head on back to base, drop off our stuff. And you can kind of see why you'd want a like a car and whatnot eventually, because it just makes this kind of stuff so much easier. And just in case you're curious, I mean, like dynamite, I don't necessarily use it all that often, but just for fun, let's just put this down and blow something up. So this if you want to make an entrance into a cave or something. You can see, I don't really find it to be all that effective or efficient, so I don't really use it all that often, but it's there if you need it. Alright, so that's back in our backpack, making things a lot faster. Let's run on back to base, but I think we're going to wrap things up for the first episode. So let me know what you guys think. Definitely a fun game here. And like I said, we're going to go a little bit, unlock some more stuff, go a little bit further with the series here. But we'll revisit things when the game gets some major updates and whatnot, because it's so early. But I haven't even unlocked anything, or everything just yet, so I still got a lot to learn myself. And what was this? Oh boy, compound. Since that's hard to find. Alright guys, drop me a comment. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Adios.